QuickBooks Pro Plus Desktop 2022, Sales by Customer Account and Item Graphs. Get ready because we bookkeeping pros are moving up the hilltop with QuickBooks Pro Plus Desktop 2022. Here we are in our free QuickBooks sample file, sample rock castle construction, going through the setup process with the view drop down, the open windows list left hand side, company drop down, home page to the middle, opening up that home page or maximizing it to the gray area. Reports drop down, we're looking at the company and financial and that balance sheet standard. Customizing the balance sheet standard as has been our custom. End date 12/31/23. Fonts and the numbers, changing that font size to 14 for font's sake. Okay, yes please, and okay. Let's do the profit and loss now. Reports drop down, company and financial, the P&L, profit and loss, end date at 12/31/23. Customizing that report, going to the fonts and numbers tab, changing that tab to 14 once again on the font. Okay, yes please, and okay. Our focus now on the profit and loss, otherwise known as the income statement, looking at that income line item, wanting to break it out in graph format by, we could do it two main ways. One, who we made the sales to by customer, and two, by the items that we sold, service or inventory items. So we got a pre-formatted graph we'll take a look at, and then we'll take a look at the reports that are used to format that graph. We'll also think about how we can export this to Excel, having a graph that could be a little bit more we could format it a little bit more options, or more options to format it. So reports drop down, we're looking at the sales item. And you can see here we got the sales graph. It's going to be our major focus. We can also find that by going to the Reports Center. Let's do that. Reports Center up top, maximizing the Reports Center, going then to the sales on the left-hand side. We got the sales by customer information, and then down below, down here, we got the sales by item. Those are the two primary reports that we can use, or we can think about, that will be generating the sales graphs reports, which can toggle back and forth between those two options. Let's take a look at the sales graph report. QuickBooks bounced back up there for some. So then there it is. Let's change the dates up top. We have a similar formatting as the graphs for the accounts receivable and accounts payable. We've got the dates up top, which need a range this time because we're talking about income over a certain time frame, not as of a point in time, as was the balance sheet accounts of a receivable and accounts payable. Let's make the starting date 12/01/23, and then I'm going to say okay. So now we've got then the total down here of the 51,999.69 for the sales. Let's see if that ties out to the profit and loss. So we got the 51,241, so it doesn't tie out exactly. There's a difference between them that could be possible given the fact, in other words, it's less likely that this number will tie out to the sub ledgers if we break it out by customer than it is for, say, the accounts receivable to tie out to the sub ledgers, because it is possible for us to enter something and allocate it to the income account without QuickBooks basically forcing us to assign it to a customer, that not being the case generally when we put something to accounts receivable. So in other words, if you were to enter data into your system, for example, just a deposit, and just assign it to the income account without assigning a customer, you can do so, and that will kind of throw off then your sub reports here to the amount on the income statement. You can't do that so much in a QuickBooks, at least. For the accounts receivable and payable, they require you to enter a customer and vendor respectively, so that they'll force you to kind of tie out the sub reports or sub ledgers to the general ledger or main report on the balance sheet, and in this case, the income statement. So let's go back then on over. So we have this information. So that's the first thing you kind of want to note if you were to print this information out. You'd say, okay, there's a difference here, or you'd want to note that it exactly ties in. So if someone asks you a question about this report, you can answer the questions about that report. This gives us the breakout by the customers. So, and by the item, it's currently on item. Let's bring it on over to the by customer. So now we've got our customers, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 customers, and it didn't need to put anything into the other category because it wasn't that many customers to add it. If there was more customers that would be involved in here, We might have the 10 and then an other category, as we saw with the accounts receivable and accounts payable reports. And so we got the pie chart. We can't do too much with the pie chart, but you got that nice pie chart, which once again, we could take the screenshots of them and add them, say, to a PowerPoint presentation or to our reports in Excel and print them all out on one report if we would like to do that. And then we got the printing options, noting that the printing options are only for printing here. We don't have the save as a PDF, but if you have the Qt PDF printer, you can print it to the Qt PDF printer, saving it as a PDF as well. So those are the general items. If we go to the reports that will support this data, we can go to the report center. This is breaking it out by customer. Scrolling up top, we can take a look at the sales by customer summary. Running that report gives us a nice breakout. If we change the dates up top, we got 12/1 to 12/31/23. This report total at the 52,999 should tie out then to what we got on our graph. And you can see that we could use this report as well as we did with the accounts receivable and accounts payable to export to Excel. This one needing a little bit more formatting because once it's a job cost system, so we'd have to set everything up and remove the subtotals in order to basically make our pie graph with it. But we could go through that process, that 52,999 matching out to what is on the sales graph here. Then if we go to the items, if I want to see it broken out by item, we got our main items. This could be a nice graph to have if you were trying to look at the, what it is we're selling, what are the main things that we're selling, and so on. So we've got our items broken out, and then you could tie this into our other report by going to the report center. That would be in the sales area, down in the items area, down below, sales by item summary, running that report, changing the dates up top to an endpoint of 12/31/23. And our total by item, things we sell, inventory and service items, in other words, is this line item. There it is, the 52,999.69 once again, that would tie out to what was on our graph. This is another report that we could export to Excel. You can see if we were to make a pie chart with it, we would have to clean it up, getting basically what we would like is just to have the items. And then basically we don't need every column. We can clean up all the columns, basically just looking at this column and the items. And then we could do basically our graph types of calculations from it. If we wanted to see the calculations on these items, would be something like taking the total here. So if I took like the subs, which are coming up to that 15, if I took this 15,461.25 and divide it by the total, which is the 52,999.69, we get about 29.17 if I move the decimal 2 places over. So moving back over here, we're looking at then the subs at the 29.17. So those are where those percentages are at. You want to have an idea of where the percentages are at in the event that someone asks you a question about the nice colorful graph that we wanted to put in there to break up the data in either our presentation and or in our worksheet that we're providing to our supervisors and or our customers or clients.